Good morning. Let's get to the point. I launched my own indie game, and it failed. What am I gonna do next? Before we get into anything, let me give you some background. Near the end of 2023, I came up with a game idea. A simple 2D platformer, but the movement is completely physics-based, where you wind up and fling the player like a slingshot. I really liked this game concept, so after a couple of months of work, I finally finished it up and released it. So now you have a rough idea of what's happened. Now let's get into what went wrong. To make things simpler, I've broken it down into 4 categories. And first on the list is the game just plain didn't look good. Now you might think that looks don't matter that much. There are plenty of games that don't have the prettiest visuals and still work well. Well, while that's true, the art style has to match the game it's in. And while a simple art style can look good for games like Minecraft or The Binding of Isaac, I don't think it works for my game. My game is about skill and progression. I want the player to be able to connect with the frog and level and care about the progress that they've made. The way that my game is now, it all looks very samey. The whole level is made out of the same tile map, so visually there's no difference between the very beginning and the end of the level. It never feels like you're ever climbing or even getting higher. Because of this, the player can't connect to the game and where they are. If you put down the game and come back to it, you'll literally have no recollection of where you are. Let's take a look at a similar game to mine, Getting Over It. At first, you might not think that the art style has any purpose, just more or less random objects making up the terrain. But a gained benefit with the assorted items is that they're unique, and the player notices them. So when they fall, they know exactly how far they fall. This is something I desperately need in my game. I need landmarks, recognizable locations so the player can connect and feel progress. And more importantly, pain, knowing exactly how far they fell. So, I need to fix the art. I need to put way more detail and variety into the landscape to give the player connection. I need to make distinct landmarks that players can notice and recognize. Now this is what I'm going to be working on next, actually. Right now I'm in the process of drawing a lot more art to try and help this. That'll actually be the next video I release, so plenty more to come. But anyways, let's get on to the second category. The game wasn't engaging. So players didn't feel connected to the world they were in, or the gameplay they were feeling. After the first couple of seconds, the player completely zones out and finishes the game on autopilot. But why? Well, first let's talk about the first couple minutes of a player learning my game. The first thing the player does is struggle for the first couple of minutes figuring out how to jump. Then they figure out how it works, and they barely struggle for the rest of the game. I try to challenge the player by introducing new mechanics like mushrooms, but nothing sticks, and the mushrooms just leave the player more frustrated by their inconsistency. So, how do I go about fixing that? Well, I think I simply just need to challenge the player more. The easiest way to play the game right now is to pull back as far as you can and jump almost straight up with slight horizontal play. That way you don't ever have to worry about how far you're pulling back, just the angle you release at. I need to take away this crutch for the player and design more obstacles that require you to think about both power and angle at the same time. I have a couple more ideas and puzzles to make, but improving the difficulty curve will make the game way more engaging. I hope. The next problem with the game is it had around a 0.1% replayability value. So I already covered that the game wasn't engaging. So after people beat the game once, they're pretty much done with it. There was only the one main game mode, so players had already seen all there was to see. Now that sounds pretty drab, but there's still a small glimmer of hope. After I first released this game, I was having some friendly competition with a couple of my cousins, and and eventually devolved into us all speedrunning the game. Now this was the funnest that I have ever had playing this game. There was something about the increased intensity mixed with the slower gameplay that made it a perfect combo. The pressure of having to act quickly while the movement was inherently slow was just amazing. Now this got me thinking, I can't force players to speedrun my game, but I can incentivize it more. I can maybe add leaderboards or achievements for getting fast enough times. This will motivate the player to play the main level more. Another thing that would give the game way more replayability value is adding smaller little mini game like things. Using the same movement but providing smaller, shorter experiences so the player doesn't have to play through the whole level. So if I knew all this stuff was wrong and things that I could add, why did I release the game when it was clearly unfinished? That leads to the last problem. The game was rushed and unfinished. But why did I do this? Well, to be frankly honest, I didn't want to. But I released this game early because of a completely separate reason than I've ever mentioned on this channel. This spring, I was part of a scholarship contest. For this contest, each school chooses one kid to compete in a variety of categories, and I happened to get selected to represent my school in the computer technology category. I needed to make a portfolio, present it, and interview. For my portfolio, I did a lot of projects, most of which I actually posted on this channel, whether you realize it or not. But I thought that releasing a game on the App Store and into the real world would look super good and would show that I was actually pursuing computer technology in my future, which I definitely am planning on. So that's why I released the game early, knowing that it was unfinished and I had a lot more work. And I'm sorry about that. To be fair, I won the scholarship, which got me quite a bit of money and helped me earn even more scholarships. Now, while I could say that the game has accomplished its purpose by helping me win scholarships, I don't like leaving it at that. I don't want this game to be a means to an end. I want this to be a good product that I can be proud of, even if it is never truly successful. Years into the future, I want to be able to look back on this game and see a finished, well-polished experience. So I'm going to keep working on it. This summer might be a little busy for me, but I'll do my best to keep progress moving along. Like I said earlier, the next couple of videos I make are probably all going to be about this game, so plenty more to come. Thank you all for watching this long into the video. If you liked it, then like and subscribe. If you didn't, don't. Or whatever. I'm not your mom. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.